All right, welcome back to the garage, everyone. As you can see, I'm here once again with my brand new 2026 CFMoto Ibex 800. And the purpose of today's video is very simple. I wanted to officially and formally kick off my brand new video series that will document my ride around the 48 states. So today's video will be the first of what will hopefully be many videos where I document all of the preparation, bike preparation, logistics, planning, but also the ride itself. So this is obviously going to go on for several months, but here we are, day one. And what makes today so special is that it is May 13th. We are 1 month out from the start of this adventure. So it's a very exciting day for me. I feel like it's starting to get close. A little more than 4 weeks away. I've started to gather all sorts of supplies together. I've made a few modifications to the bike. I've made a lot of my lodging plans and sort of my day-to-day route planning. I've essentially finished the website. I've gotten things to a point where I'm kind of in a holding pattern right now. So I'm just sort of like hurrying up and waiting. I want to talk about some things I've done to the bike. You might recall in my new bike day video, I talked about how one of the big selling points of this bike was that it came with everything I needed and I didn't have to make any changes to it, ostensibly. What I came to discover over the last week and a half or so is that there were a few things that I did want to change to this bike. Minor things, not expensive things, just little tweaks that I wanted to do to make it absolutely perfect for this ride. So I'm going to talk about that. I'm also going to talk a little bit about some of the gear that I've put together already. And then I want to talk about a little training preparation that I've got coming up tomorrow. But I'll get to that here in a second. Let's start with the bike first. So the first thing you might notice is I've got some highway pegs on the bike now. These were $30 online. I didn't spend big money on these. I was just going to use the pegs that I have on my 450, but the way those are designed, it didn't really work well on these factory racks. So I splurged and got some better highway pegs more suitable for the 800. So that was the first little bit of money that I spent. Moving around to the TFT, you might notice I've got this little plastic sun visor now around the screen. I think I got this on eBay for like $14. And the big reason I wanted it other than the glare was because it gives me a good spot to mount my toll transponder up here on top. So I can literally put my transponder right here. And when I'm going on the East Coast through all the tolls, it will just ping right there from essentially my dash. Now, if we look here, you might notice something's different with my DoubleTake mirrors. I did change out the arms on my DoubleTakes, and this is actually something that I've been wanting to do for a while. I still have the old version 1 of the DoubleTakes, and I had those on the bike last week. And I just got fed up with the mounting balls always getting crushed here by the pressure. And so I finally just said, you know what, it's time to upgrade these anyway. So those were all like the sort of cheap modifications I made. I did also put a really cheap screen protector on the actual TFT screen itself that's like 30% anti-glare, just to help a little bit with the really sunny glare. All of those things were relatively cheap. So I didn't spend a lot of money on any of those changes. As I walk around the bike, the only other change that I see that I've made is I did finally move over the rear rack from my Ibex 450, and I put my old rack back on the 450 for now. So that's been moved and it does work. Everything works with the luggage. Now those were all the small things. The one big obvious elephant in the room that you're probably noticing is this guy right here. So this is an aftermarket windscreen. I did ride the bike for a few hundred miles during the break-in here, and what I discovered is no setting on this windshield, on the factory windshield, was working for me to block out the wind buffeting. So I did a little research. I thought about getting one of the little Puig clip-ons for the top. Ultimately, I decided to just spend the $100 and get the full windscreen. So this is actually a Puig windscreen itself, sold as an entire unit, that gives me about 5 extra inches, or about 12 centimeters, I believe, extra on the top. So essentially what this means is when this is all the way down, it's at about the same level as when the old windshield was all the way up. So the big thing that I was worried about was, even with it all the way down, was I still gonna have to look through the windshield, and that's not the case. With it all the way down, I can still easily look over the windshield, and I can even move it up slightly and still look over the windshield. I don't like to look through the windshield when I'm looking straight down the highway. I don't mind looking through the windshield if I'm like very briefly looking kind of low on the ground, but if I'm doing long distance on an open road, I like to be able to look over the windshield, and this allows me to do that. Now, there is a windscreen sold by WRS, which I know is very popular. It has the little slit in it to allow some air through, but it's considerably narrower, and I figured if I was gonna buy an aftermarket windscreen, I wanted something that was just notably wider, gives me more overall wind protection. So this was the one big splurge that I made on this bike, was the windshield, windscreen. So that's all the preparation I've done to the bike. As I said, I've got about 250 miles of break-in on it so far. Now my plan for the next few weeks as we get closer to my departure is to ride the new bike about 100 miles a week through town, through the city, really get it through the rev range, constantly shifting it, really break it in properly, so that I get right up to that 600-mile oil change in the days right before I leave, so that I can change the oil, have it ready to go, and start the big trip right after I've changed the oil. So that's the plan for the bike itself. Now, if you come over here, you can see I've got a whole bunch of stuff in these two boxes. This is basically anytime I think of something that I want or I'm gonna need, I chuck it in these boxes, and I will spend an entire day kind of sorting through this and figuring out where everything's gonna go in my panniers, and really kind of get out on a couple of test rides with all of the equipment I plan to bring with me, do a full proper shakeout ride or shakedown ride, whatever you want to call it, where everything is as it's going to be on the big trip, to make sure there's no issues or weirdness with the way that I've packed things. The other thing that I am thinking about potentially getting for this trip, which I've been thinking about getting actually for several months now, which is also a very large investment, is an airbag vest. I don't have one currently. I just have sort of the hard protection in my coat. Given the nature of this trip, I'm very seriously considering dropping the money on that investment. Regarding documentation and paperwork, I did just get my new license plate in the mail. Everything is ready to go, the bike itself. I've had some really nice break-in rides. I've tested out all the different riding modes. I really like riding in the rain mode, which sounds kind of wussy because it's sort of the gentlest mode, but it's been very forgiving. And so that's the mode that I've been sort of preferring over the sport mode. But I did also test some of the off-road modes, and it disables all of the traction control and ABS and all that stuff as well. Still no plans on getting any sort of bark busters or anything like that. No other accessories are currently in shopping carts on purpose. I don't want to spend any more money on this bike because my plan is still to ride it and come back and sell it. So there is one more thing that I wanted to briefly talk about before I end this first video in this new series, and that is what I have planned for tomorrow. So as part of all this overall preparation and training for this big cross-country ride, I need to get out on long rides. Now, you might remember a few weeks ago, I went on what I called a bronze butt 500-mile ride, where I went up to Four Corners and looped around Shiprock and came back. Tomorrow, we're gonna double it. So tomorrow morning at about 2 a.m., I'm gonna head out on what will be my second ever official 1,000-mile iron butt ride. And I've got a really cool route plan. I'm gonna be going all the way up into Utah, kind of through the Moab area, over into Colorado, and down through the San Juan Mountains as I make my way back down through New Mexico and back across Arizona. So it's a really cool route. I'm very excited about it. Lots of different sort of ecosystems and landscapes that we'll be going through. We might even get some snow up on the high passes of Colorado. It'll be an adventure regardless of what happens. And I am going to be taking the 450, not the new motorcycle, simply because I don't want to put all those miles on the new bike yet. I'm still breaking it in. Mostly this ride is just about butt on seat time. So I want to really just get a lot of time in the saddle. I want to kind of get my mind back into that iron butt mentality and see how I do, see if I'm still motivated to ride those long days. And I'm excited. I've been wanting to do another iron butt ride for years, and we're finally going to do it tomorrow. So I will have my tracker on. If you want to track my progress, it will be at share.garmin.com/on2feet. Go to that site, check it out. You can follow my progress. Again, I plan to start at about 2 a.m. Arizona time, which is 5 a.m. Eastern time. And it will probably take me 20 hours or so to get through the whole day. So probably end sometime around 10 p.m. if all goes well. So that's the plan for tomorrow. I'm definitely going to take some footage of that trip. I'm really excited to get out there on another long adventure as sort of one last big training ride. And in the meantime, I'll keep getting my gear together and publishing some of these preparation videos as we get closer to my actual departure date for the RATS48. So that's it for now. Take care, everyone. I'll see you all in the next video. Be safe out there. Bye.